are unable to make it tonight. Welcome to everybody. My name is Teresa Smead. If you do not know me or have not heard of me, if you're new to the netball role, I work at Netball North Harbour, but I am actually currently in Wellington, not even on the North Shore tonight. But tonight is just for school coordinators, just to give you a little bit of a rundown on what needs to happen in terms of getting all your teams and schools and everything ready for the new season coming up. So first of all, I have got a page on our website which has been designed for you, and it's got all the information that you need on that page. So I'm going to try and share my screen, and I'm going to pull up the page. It's actually the website. So can everybody sort of see our website there? Great. Okay, so on our website, there's obviously the menu bar, and right at the other end of the menu bar, you'll see a registration 2025 menu tab, and you'll see primary coordinator information for 2025. And so is it going to go into that page? So this is the page where if you need to refer back to anything after tonight, that is where it's going to be very helpful for you. And there's lots of information on there, including dates, etc. We've got dates down here, which I will also talk about quickly tonight. And yeah, how to get your players and your teams registered for the season. So I'll start with obviously our website. We've got this tab, this registration now tab, 2025 tab, is probably the one that you'd use a lot. There's also here on this top tab here is the registration form process. So if you are unaware, we use Sporty as our software registration system. Some of the schools, you are probably very aware of it if you have rugby or basketball, but there's other sports that use the Sporty platform. So the first thing that happens, obviously, is trying to work out how many kids are interested in playing netball at your school for the year. I have sent out the dates and I have sent out the costs, so hopefully that helps you work out what you're going to do within your school to let parents know. But once a child has decided that they're interested in playing, the parents need to register that child on your school form. You can find your school form if you log into Sporty. There's a dashboard and there's a online forms portal, and under that you will see a Netball 2025 form, and under that there'll be a netball registration. So if you can click into that netball registration form from your end and alter it if you want to add anything in there that's pertinent to your school, or you can just leave it as it is. On our website, we have all the registration forms under this registration 2025. These are all our clubs and all our schools that play at Netball North Harbour. So if we were to click in, like this is the Albany school form, so parents can register their children from the site, but this is what they see and this is what they need to complete in order for the child to be registered to your school to play netball for 2025. So that's one of the first steps. You need to send that information out to your parents. You can send them a link to the form. You can either tell them to go onto our website, or you can also get a link if you go into that, if you log into Sporty, go to that dashboard, online registrations, find the form, and you see that you can copy the link to that form and you can add it to your school website or send it out on emails or put it on your social media pages if you have a Facebook page for parents and so forth. So there's various ways of being able to get that out to your schools. Now, why can I get back out of that one? We don't want Albany now. I can't see. Hold on, just bear with me for a moment. Right, here we go. So yeah, so that's one of the first things that you need to do. And once you have all your players registered who said that they're going to play netball, then you register the team. And to do that, you need to go into your team builder on your sporty registration. It's all on here as well. You go into, and these videos on the right here also give you a little bit of help. You go into the dashboard on Sporty again, and you'll see a team builder, and that is where you actually register the team. And you click on whatever league it is that you're entering, and you add the team, and then you can drag your players, which you shall see on your list, into those teams, and that's how they get registered in the teams. So that's that process. By the way, if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask during this Zoom call tonight. Yeah, what do you need to tell your parents? Well, first of all, I have sent out the dates, as I mentioned. Basically, the first date you need to remember, which is on this page here, primary coordinator page, is that our team registration closes on the 4th of April 2025. So you do not need to have your players in the team at that point, but we need to know how many teams you are going to enter. And where are you going to enter them? So with our netball competition here, we have got, for primary, we've got 3 options currently. Barfoot and Thompson Netball Centre in Northcote. We've got Hibiscus Coast, and we've got Westlake Girls on a Saturday. Everyone plays on different nights of the week. We have teams from year 1 all the way through to year 6. Our year 1, 2, and 3 teams are what they call the Future Ferns. They play a modified game. For year 1 and 2, and we've got it down here, it's a 4-a-side game. And we say at least probably around 6 kids in that team is a good number. If you have 12, that's too many, that's 2 teams. Yep. The year 1 and 2s play at Netball North Harbour on a Monday night. At Hibiscus Coast, they play on a Tuesday, if we've got any of our HBC coordinators here. The next year, year 3, they change to, so it's a 4-a-side game. That's why we say 6 kids in those team at the most. They don't need any more. Year 3, it's a 5-a-side game. It's still modified. And we say maximum of around 7 children. Any more, it's quite hard to get these kids on the court to have their time and playing. So we say 5-a-side, 7 maximum for the year 3s. At Netball North Harbour, they play on a Monday night, and at Hibiscus Coast, they play on a Tuesday night. Okay, so anyone year 1 to 3, Monday at Northcote, Tuesday at Hibiscus. So then the next level, we go up to our year 4 and 5s. And that's now where they get introduced to the 7-a-side game. We don't do the modified game at Netball North Harbour, which is a 6-a-side game for some centres. We have stuck with the 7-a-side game. But with our year 4 and 5s, they do rotate. They rotate around the court. They rotate every quarter. So that's why they get time on the court, get to learn the game, both ends, and also, the coaches basically can't dictate where the kids go because they've been told where they have to put the kids. So on a Netball North Harbour at Northcote, our year 4 teams play on a Monday. And at Hibiscus Coast, they play on a Thursday for year 4. At Junior Netties, which is what we call the Westlake competition, Westlake Girls on a Saturday, year 4 can play there as well. So we don't do year 1 to 3 at Westlake, but we start year 4 at Westlake. Year 5 is exactly the same game as the year 4s. It's rotations, but at Netball North Harbour, they play on a Wednesday night. And at Hibiscus Coast, they play on a Thursday and on a Saturday at Westlake. And then our year 6s, they are a 7-a-side game. And for both all the year 4, 5, and 6 teams, we say a maximum of 10 players. The ultimate, the best sort of size team for a year 4, 5, 6 team is sort of 8 to 9 players. 10 can still be a little bit too many. But, you know, you want to have those kids so you've got room for illness and injury and stuff like that. So, but it doesn't always work out like that for our primary schools because the numbers don't stack up like they should. But we'll talk about that in a minute. But for our year sixes, they play the 7-a-side game. There's no rotations for them. They can go anywhere they like. The coaches do have a little bit more say in how those players play. And they play on a Wednesday night at Northcote, a Wednesday night at Hibiscus Coast, and they also play on a Saturday at Junior Netties. Now, with our year 1, 2, and 3, there are no umpires, but with our year 4, 5, and 6 teams, we do go to the umpires like they would in an adult game. And every team is meant to supply their own umpire, which can be a little bit of a headache for coordinators. But we kind of suggest that you kind of approach like older sisters or brothers or people like that who might want to umpire a team or whatever. We do have some umpires. We've got a lovely coordinator called Sharon Fraser who looks after our umpires. And if you get really desperate, she's someone that you might be able to call upon, but she doesn't have a huge amount of umpires. Most of the umpires at primary are children. They're learning, they're starting out. So yeah, that's why we sort of like older children, siblings, or, you know, your local intermediates or colleges, they might be able to help as well if you are looking for umpires. So now let's talk about the numbers. So yes, we say 10 maximum, ideally 7, 8, or 9 players in a team. But we know that is not always the case when you get these kids signing up, that you don't have 2 year 6 teams that, you know, with 8 players in each or whatever. You are allowed to do combination year teams. So you can have a year 4/5 team, but bearing in mind that they always play up into that higher age group. So if you have a year 5/6 team, which is perfectly fine, the year 5s will play up into the year 6th grade. And they don't do the rotations if they've never played before. But that's okay. We tend to have a lot of combination teams if you're a bit worried about that. And those year 5/6 teams, they tend to be lower down in our grades. They don't tend to make grade 1, if you get my meaning. They tend to be a little bit lower down. So they tend to be playing other year 5s and things like that as well. You can do combination for year 1 and 2. It's usually the norm for year 1 and 2 because they're both the same. And you can put year 2s in a year 3 team, and you can put year 3s in a 4 team if you feel they're up to it. And yeah, 5s into a 6 team. What we don't like is year 3s playing in a year 5 team or year 4s playing in a year 6 team, because that is 2 years above their age level, and bearing in mind that they will be up against teams that will have may have quite strong players in there. So not 2 years above, but 1 year above is fine. Now, what if you have only 3 players registered and not enough to make a team? So are you thinking if you've got a small school, you can always get in touch with us and we might be able to put a notice out there to other schools nearby, or you can contact your other schools nearby if you've only got 1 or 2 players that sign up in the entire school to play netball. And we are happy for players to go to another school as long as both schools are in agreement. We've had in the past parents who aren't happy with the team that their child might be in and they want to move to another school to play netball. I will be contacting you in the first instance and saying this is what's happened. Are you aware of it? Because sometimes the schools are not aware of what's going on. So yeah, but ideally it would be great if they could play for their own school. And it's only in the case if they just don't have a team, and so they need to find somewhere to play if they want to play netball. But we will be in touch if we get any of that. Boys are allowed to play. You can definitely register boys to play netball if they are willing to or wanting to. With the boys, there are some rules about where they go on court, and we only have 3 boys on court at once. So if you have 4 boys registered in one team, one of them will have to be on the sideline and then they'll have to do swaps during the game. So just be aware of that. Yeah, so any other questions around numbers or anything like that? You're all good with that, and where they're playing and what nights they're playing? The other thing is, with the nights that they play, I've got down here time requests. Time requests are something that we allowed teams to do if you've got one umpire, doing two teams, or one coach coaching two teams, and they can't be with both teams at the same time. So you can put in a time request that they play at different times. We also allow for time requests. So when you're putting your team numbers together and you say have 15 children, or what are we saying, 14, yeah, 15 children, we say bump up the lower teams if you've got more than one team. Like if you've got 2 year 6 teams and you've only got 15 children registered, put more children in your lower teams than your top teams, because you can always borrow from the bottom up. You can't take a child from a top team and put them in a lower graded team. So that's another reason for a time request. So those two teams don't play at the same time, so they can use players from another team. However, there are some schools where they've only got 14 players. You can put in a request that it has to come through us, so we're aware of it, that you may get dispensation where you can use a player from a top team to play in a bottom team if the numbers are really tight. But if you just, that's something to be aware of, and you can get in touch with me if you find that, yes, we've only got 14 players, 7 in each team. The only stipulation we normally put on that is that you don't use your strongest player to play down, because I can tell you now that parents will see these things and they pick up on it, and we get sort of not issues, but questions and stuff. So but that is something, if your numbers are really tight, to be aware of. You can put in a request for dispensation to use players from a higher graded team. So yeah, so that's putting your teams together. The other thing is, we do seed our teams at Netball North Harbour. We don't give them names when you're naming your teams. I think I've sent out a couple of emails about this. The reason being because of that, borrowing players from a lower team or a higher team. And we've got so many teams at Netball North Harbour, it's just easier if they're just all numbered. Because if we allowed you to name your teams, I can tell you now, we'll have so many Mystics and Stars and Panthers and things like that it can get very confusing. And we don't know which is the higher team and which is the lower seeded team. The reason we seed them is, it's good if you can do it in your, like the school as well. I mean, some schools don't trial some, especially the younger age group. Don't need to do that with year 1, 2, and 3. Just let them play. Year 4, some schools don't seed them. They just let them play with their friend groups. Year 5 and 6, the kids start getting a little bit different in terms of their ability and skill. And some schools only have one team, so they can't do anything. But if you've got more than a couple of teams, it's quite good to seed them, because if you have a player that's not very strong in a team with a whole lot of strong players, I can bet your bottom dollar they don't get past the ball very often. So it's just something to be aware of. And, parents do get a bit upset when their kids don't make those top teams and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's probably better for the kids. And then when they do play their games, they're playing against similar ability, skilled players. We do grade our teams in primary. All our competitions, when you kick off, which I think is the first week of term 2, we do grading, and we grade for about 7 weeks. A little bit different at junior netties. It's a shorter competition, but we do grade. The reason we do that for 7 weeks, quite a long time, is to allow our players to settle into the game, and then we get a really good idea of where they sit in the field, like whether they're a grade 1 team or a grade 9 team. And then after that 7 weeks, we do a competition. So they go into a grade and they stay in that grade and they win points with their games. So if they win if they win all their games, they become the top of the grade effectively. We have in the past considered not having a competition and taking points out of the comp, but at the end of the day, I don't think it will make any difference in terms of how people behave at the courts. So, and I don't know, it's winning and losing, but we always get people upset if they never win a game. But yes, I try to tell the coaches it's how you deliver the message and how it works, and as opposed to winning games all the time. But anyway, so yeah, we do that. So pretty much we play all of term 2. We do not play King's Birthday on the Monday. So any teams playing on a Monday do not play. We are also not playing Matariki this year for our Saturday teams. And we don't play King's Birthday for the Saturday team either. The Westlake teams, they do not play Saturday for King's Birthday, and they do not play the Saturday for Matariki. So they end up having about a 3 or 4 week break by the time, because it's right before the school holidays, Matariki. We do not play the school holidays in July. So that time's off as well. So our competitions tend to end the end of August. That's when I think this year though, our Northcote teams and Hibiscus teams will finish the first week of September, I think. But we tend to be finished, I've got the dates in there, but we do tend to finish end of August, early September. We do have saver days for our primary teams when the competition round is happening, grading. If we call off games during the grading, we don't rerun those again. But if we are in the competition round, we may use that saver day. But grading, we won't. But those are only for the teams outside Westlake. I don't think you have a saver day because it's undercover there, so we don't really have to call that off. We very rarely cancel netball, but if we did, we tend to put something up on all our social media website, and we will email all the schools if something gets called off. We do send out messages, please don't ring us at 10 a.m. in the morning, because that's usually what happens when it's raining and the parents, and it's not even, we don't make a call till about 1 o'clock in the afternoon if we were to ever cancel. So, so that's a little bit about the structure of the competition. Has anyone got any questions? No? I've got one here. Do parents register directly on your Sporty or our school Sporty? So they register, it is the forms that are on our website that I showed you before up here. They are your forms. Okay, they go directly through to your school forms, all down here. So you can see how many schools we have here listed. So those are your school forms. Those are the ones that you will see when you log into the Sporty platform. Okay, for your school. So like I say, you can copy the link and email it to your parents, or you can put it up on your website or whatever it is that you use. If you don't have a Sporty login, that's the first thing you're going to need to get. And I have sent some information out on how you can get that, and it's all on that primary coordinator page here as well. Support at sportsground.co.nz is the people you need to contact if there's any issues with your Sporty registration. But there's all the information there. If you're not sure, have a look on there. So some of the important dates, like I said, we've got Friday the 4th of April is the close off for a team registration. You've still got a bit of time on working out where players are going to go. Friday the 17th, that's I think in the middle of the school holidays, I would like the time requests to be in, because I need to do the draw. And I need to know what's happening if teams can't play at the same time, etc. You can send in time requests at a later date, but just bear in mind if the draw is already done, I'm not changing it. Just, so but you can send them in at a later date. But Sunday, the 27th of April, which is the last day of the school holidays, it would be really good if we can get all the players into those teams. It's quite easy just to drag them. Once they've registered on their form, you should see them and you can just drag them into the team that they're going to play for. And even our year 1 and 2s, we still want them registered and put in their little teams as well, because what happens, it goes on their little record throughout their little netball playing career. So even when they go on to intermediate and college, you can see what school they came from and all that sort of stuff. So it's quite cool. Some other important dates are also on this page. Every year I do a Zoom call like tonight, and for the coaches and the managers of your teams, if you've got them all organised just before the holidays, it's the 7th and the 9th of April. Now, this primary information evening on the 7th and the 9th are only for our year 4, 5 and 6 teams. And that's Hibiscus Coast, as well as Junior Netties, as well as Northcote. So I go through with the coaches and the managers basically how everything works, so that because it's quite daunting when you turn up at Netball North Harbour on the first day and there's hundreds of people everywhere and you don't know where you're going or what you're doing. So I go through a few things with them there, including the rotations for year 4 and 5 coaches and managers. So it's really important if they can attend just one of those days. So if they can't make the Monday, they can do the Wednesday or vice versa. And I go through the rotations for those teams as well. It's really helpful if they have that before they start playing. We've also got an informal coaching course for our year 4 to year 6 coaches on the 2nd of April. The registrations, I'm not sure if they're up yet, but that is run by Michelle Wallace, and that's just going through some basics for coaches. If they're feeling a bit unsure about, they've put their hand up and they don't know if they're not sure what to do, then that's a really good one for coaches to come along to. And for Hibiscus Coast, we're also running a coaching course for you guys up at Edith Hopper, but that's not till term 2 on the 30th of April. So Hibiscus Coast starts about a week later than Northcote, which is planned because I can't get all the draws and everything done for everybody. So I just have staggered you out a little bit with the start dates. For our year 1 and 2 and year 3 coaches, they don't come to those, but they have a coaching evening on the Monday, the 28th of April, which I think is the first day of term 2, at the Barfoot and Thompson Centre. Again, it's just going through with the coaches how the program works, because it's a modified game, and giving them some tips and hints and telling them where to go, what they need to do, and yeah. So the year 1 and 2, 3 program, they definitely need parent help, because they don't have umpires. The coaches are the ones who control the game and manage the game and direct the kids around on their little courts and things like that. So it's really good if our Future Ferns coaches, that's the year 1, 2 and 3 coaches, can come along on the 28th of April. But I will remind you all about these dates as we get going throughout the season. Any more questions? Is there a limit how often a player can and a lower team can play out? Good question. So yes, there are rules for our older age players like at college, but primary, I don't have a rule around how many times a player can play up. The reason being because we know numbers are tight for you guys, and you don't have the luxury of having 16 teams or 10 teams. You only have 2. However, we don't like the same kid playing up every week. They should be, if you need a team, needs to have a fill-in, preferably they're using different kids each week and not the same one. Just a little bit about player safety and welfare, so they're not getting exhausted by playing in 2 teams all the time. So teams, player rego, coaches and managers. So once you have those beautiful parents who volunteer to help and become a coach or a manager or whatever it is they're going to do, they also need to register on your school form. They choose their role at the top of the form, and you need to put them into your teams as well, please, along with your players. Even if it's just one of the coaches or one manager. So at least we have a contact number and person, because often, especially like the Saturday morning teams or something, if we get a default and I need to get hold of another team, it makes it a lot easier if there's at least one or two names on that team list of people that we can get in touch with, because we know that you teachers are very busy and you finish at 4 o'clock sort of so, and it's quite hard to get hold of you, but it's much easier to look up a coach and just tell them directly that they don't have a game or something's happened. So that would be preferable, please, if you can at least get one or two of the coach manager into your team. So yeah, there's lots of information on here. Talks about equipment. We don't provide practice balls for our younger players, so every team does need some balls to warm up with and bibs. We do have bibs at our venues. If people have forgotten bibs or have forgotten a couple of balls, we do have a couple of spare balls, but teams hopefully should be supplied with some practice balls and bibs to play the game. Most teams are very good. They just have their playing strips that the school has designated to them. Boys obviously don't like to wear dresses, but if you can make sure that they're wearing, the school strip, PE uniforms are fine. Even for the girls, PE uniforms are fine. Yeah, so, and also it's quite handy for teams to have because a lot of dresses, you have your bibs that stick to your dress, but it's quite handy to have another set of bibs for practice or for the fact if they turn up to a game and the other team's got the same colours. But like I say, we do have spare ones in the control room if they do get stuck. Couple of questions. Are dresses a requirement for girls? Absolutely not. There's actually nothing in the rule book too that says any dresses are the playing uniform. We don't like kids like wearing, there are parents out there who think that their kids need to have about 3 different layers of clothing on when they play netball when it gets cold, but often those kids end up taking all those gears off because they get quite hot. On the really wet, cold nights, I do allow jerseys, school jerseys or jackets to be worn. And that is, again, another reason why having a spare set of bibs is good, because they can put those over the top of jerseys or jackets, and they can play in those on those really horrible, miserable nights, because, kids don't run around as much as adults. And, so that's, school uniform. So, and we do have a requirement that kids do need to wear shoes, etc., because just health and safety, all that sort of thing. Info nights. So we do have, there's a couple of extra things. So we've got the fees here per team. You may put other fees on top of that with dress, uniforms, etc., whatever it is. Time request, if you put in a time request, it's $20 per request, but it's for the whole season. As the season goes on, so you might start with 8 or 9 players in a team, or 7 players in a team, and you have a kid that comes to the school who really wants to play netball. You can register that child to play netball halfway through the season, or you have kids drop out of a team and you need to find some more players. You can, we call those kids the additional players. You can register additional players throughout the season to play for a team, as long as there's a couple of forms. Don't know, do I have it up here? There are a couple of forms you need to, I haven't put, might be here. Additional player. So there is a form that needs to be filled out. It can be filled out on the night by a coach or a manager. or you can fill it out online, and that player can then play for your school and your team. But they will still need to register on your school form as well. So even though because that's not the actual registration form to play for your school, but in order to add them to the team online, we need them to fill out your school registration form as well. So, but just be aware you can add what we call additional players. And then we've also got now a late default fee. So this is when teams do not tell us that they're defaulting until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We ask that people let us know by 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock at the latest, if they are defaulting on the day, so we can inform their opposition. If they ring at 3 o'clock or 3:30 or 4, it's often very too late, especially if they're playing at 4 or 4:50. It's really hard to get hold of another team, and they may already be at the courts or on their way to the courts. So if we have a team that tells us that late, there is a $50 charge that goes back to the school, which you can on-charge to the team. It's up to you, but so just beware. If someone's defaulting, I really like it in writing. Whether it comes from the coach or it comes from the school coordinator, it's quite good that you know if someone's defaulting, because you might be able to help them out with other teams' players or something like that. But then you know what's going on if a team defaults. So I sort of tell coaches at that information evening to let their school coordinator know if they can't field a team. So you can contact me, and then everyone knows kind of what's going on. But yeah, please do not leave it too late. Otherwise, you could get a default fee. Now, the other thing I was going to say there was something else I was going to say, time requests. I don't remember. It's gone from my mind now. Time requests can be made a little bit later as well, but like I say, I can't change a draw that's already done if that request comes in after the draw has been released. Umpires talked about that. Now, school camps and productions, this is a big one. So I know that all our school kids are very busy school kids, and they go on school camp occasionally, or there might be a major production happening at your school, which could happen to be on a night when you play netball. There is a form here. You just click on that button and you can write down there, have a look at your school diaries, and let me know when your teams will not be available to play. So what I do is I just leave them off the draw for grading, and in the competition round, they just will have a default against them. So, but it's really handy if we know when those teams are not going to be around to play, particularly throughout grading, because then I can just take that team off the draw. So yes, fill in that, have a look at your school calendars and see if there's going to be anything between May from term 2 or end of April, basically, through to early September. That could affect a team playing. Some productions, I am happy if I have plenty of warning that I could try and get those teams onto an early game if the draw allows it. So yeah, but it's good just to have plenty of warning. With the games, all our games start at 4 o'clock for our primary teams after school, for the after school teams. And on a Wednesday, I have year 4 and year 5 and 6, and the year 5s tend to play the earlier rounds and the year 6s tend to play the later rounds. On a Monday, we have a 4 o'clock and a 4:50 round. And that's our year 3 and 4s who are outside. Our year 1 and 2s are inside in the arena, and they play 40-minute rounds for the year 1 and 2. So they have a 4:40 and a 5:20 round. But on a Monday as well, we also have year 9s playing. It can get quite busy. But yeah, so Monday's 4 o'clock, 4:50. At Hibiscus Coast, Tuesday we have our year 1s and 2s playing at 4, and at 4:50 the year 3s play. And but the year 5s and 6s for Hibiscus Coast on a Wednesday and a Thursday have the same round times of sort of like 4, 4:50, 5:40 and 6:30 is our last round. So that's what I was going to say about time requests. We do not accept time requests for parents who say that my child has ballet at 6 o'clock on a Wednesday, so can we play 4 o'clock every week? No, we don't do that. If they want to play netball, they need to commit to the fact that they could be playing at 4 or they could be playing at 6:30. But that, yeah, so it's really the time requests are for just netball specific reasons, not anything outside of netball. Saturday mornings, you play 8:30 for year 4 and 9:20, and then maybe 9:20, 10:10 for year 5, and sort of 11-ish for the year 6s. So the year 6s will play later on the Saturday morning, and the year 4s will play first. There's only 4 courts at Westlake, so we don't have as much space there. So any other questions around any of that? We're all good on that. Oh yeah, look, I have got registration forms for the coaching courses there. If you do that drop down, so parents, if they're keen, can start registering for the coaching courses. Just a couple more things. Talk about umpire scoring. We are using the scoring app, the Sporty scoring app, and I will send out more information about how to use that. So every team needs at least 1 scorer, preferably up to 3 for each team, which I will go through with coaches and managers, etc. You have a scoring code for your teams, and we do send out a big list of them once all the team registrations are closed. But you can see that scoring code when you register a team. You will see up in the top left there's a little box with the scoring code in it. So that is another way that you can find out the scoring code for a team. And basically they get an app and they put that scoring code into the app, and then they will see the draw and for the team, and they will be able to score the games. But more on that to come later. And you can also find more information on the scoring on this draws and results tab, and there's information on how to work it and how to use it as well for parents if they've not used it. Defaults and cancellations we've talked about. Now I've just put, this is new this year, I've just put a little section in here about photos and videos. So new this year is the arena games are going to be filmed. If you have teams that play basketball, it's the same outfit that uses that records the basketball games, but we're only filming in the arena, and it's a pay-by-view system. So this only really affects all our year 6 teams who play in the arena, because year 6s are I do schedule them to play in the arena over the season, so they get about 2-3 games in the arena, and they will be filmed, but you can't just go on. It's not like YouTube. You have to pay to be able to see the games. I will be sending out more information about that as we come further into the season. But just to be aware that yes, there will be some filming in the arena, and if any school, and the same with any photos, because we often go around and take photos of the kids used for promotional posters or something for game tournaments and programs and stuff like that. And we sometimes put little reels together for the tournaments and stuff, which the parents seem to really enjoy. But if there are any issues with any children, or you don't want your team to be filmed inside, you just need to let me know, because we can turn off the camera if we have to. But just to be aware of it, it is on the registration form under the terms and conditions. It always has been for the photos and outside on the courts and stuff. But if there is a child that has some sort of order of, of no photography or whatever, you just need to let me know, and then we'll make sure that those sort of photos aren't of the child or whatever is not published. But that's just something new that you need to be aware of. Are there Player of the Day certificates? Good questions. We do try to get some Player of the Day certificates, which is on my list to do. but we need to get a sponsor for those, so that's on our list. But we have had them in the past, and I do try and hand those out before the season starts. The year 1 to 3 teams don't get player of the day, but they do get a participation certificate at the end of the little program, so they do get one of those. So that is pretty much it. So all that information on there. Now, all this here is kind of a little bit about our philosophy around our junior players. So we do have a rule that every child has to play at least half a game when they turn up to the courts. We do monitor it. It is quite hard, but we do monitor it. And often we sometimes have parents contacting us to say that our child's only had half games the entire season and other kids have had full games. So yes, every child, when they come to the court, has to have at least half a game. And over the 14 weeks or over the 12 weeks, they have to have fair time on court as well. So the same children cannot have half games every week, and the same child can't have full games every week. So we do try to monitor it, but like I said, it can be tricky. But if I get contacted by a parent, then I often go back to the school, because it's kind of probably something that needs to be managed. Like, we have that rule and we can deduct points if it's being ignored. But yeah, we work with the school if there's some issues like that going on. Boys, yes, we talked about boys, talked about combination teams and who you can borrow players from, etc., and additional players. So if any schools have kids who play at Kids Play, which is the Pinehurst competition, they don't play at Netball North Harbour. They are not registered with Netball North Harbour because Kids Play is completely separate. But you can have players in a Kids Play team play in a Northcote team, but you just got to make sure that that child is registered. Or they come in as an additional player, they do the additional player form, but still register with Netball North Harbour. Yeah, and like I say, if your numbers are tight and don't stack up, please contact us if you're struggling with your numbers, and we can try and give you a hand on what might be the best way to get around the fact that you might not have as many players, or too many players can be an issue. So yeah, please just get in touch if you have any questions. Yeah, so I think that's about it, really. Anyone got any questions? Everyone's all good to go? Biggest thing for you is, like I say, is just getting sorry, we can get back in there. Where have I gone? Yeah, just getting your players registered, working out how many players are wanting to play this year, and then taking it from there, particularly if you do not have kids or your numbers aren't stacking up. Yeah, I think I've covered everything. So yeah, that coordinator page, place to go if you can't remember anything, but please contact me on email if you still need a hand or have any questions. Yeah, and that's it, pretty much it. So yeah, hopefully you're all good to go. And we can leave it there. Don't know why yeah, there I am. Oh, no, I'm not. So yeah, just yeah. Get in touch. All right. And good luck, everyone. And no doubt I might see you at the courts, or I might have lots of emails from you over the season. Who knows?
Thanks so much, Teresa.
Thanks, Teresa.
Thanks,
Teresa.
Great. All right.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you.
You.